And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, our time 8:05. Thank you for joining us. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Arvell and Fruitland, please hang on. We'll get to you and your comments about Matt Lauer. Joining us now for the Coalition for a Prosperous America, our good friend Michael Stumo. Mr. Stumo, thank you for joining us once again.
Good morning, Kevin. It's a pleasure to be here.
What do you think of that latest missile that was fired yesterday?
Oh, you're catching me unaware. I'm not a big expert on missiles, but I do know enough that I don't like missiles fired my way. That's for sure.
No, I'm with you with that whole North Korea, China, U.S., how it really impacts the markets. It kind of plays into what we're talking about when we're talking about, international business and the idea of taxable and what isn't taxable. It's amazing to me that the North Koreans can fire a missile and the markets continue to explode. It's amazing, and tax reform continues to march on.
Right, and the thing with China, China's been supplying North Korea with finance and technology to enable them to build those missiles. And in the last two administrations, they've continued caving to China on trade in the hopes that they would help us with North Korea, and that just didn't work. And so I don't know what Trump is going to do, but I'm not sure we need to keep caving in on trade to China because that didn't work in the past.
Yeah, we keep seeming to think that the folks in the Chinese government are going to help us, and that hasn't been the case.
Right. They were China first long before we were America first, that's for sure.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this wonderful new bill that's coming out that's going to be the best ever. There is a provision that's going to help companies liberate or reliberate or repatriate, there we go, their monies that are currently overseas. What do you make of that?
Well, it's an improvement over the current situation because we have so much tax revenue loss in that multinationals can hide their profits overseas in Bermuda, Bahamas, and Ireland, and it actually discriminates against my members who are domestic companies that employ U.S. workers and sell to U.S. customers and abroad, and they can't hide their profits. So that the provisions of this bill are a slight improvement. The best way to do it really would be just to tax all countries around the world for their access to the U.S. consumers on profits that they make here, and then don't tax on profits that when they sell elsewhere. That's really the best system, but it is an improvement.
What would that mean, though, to the taxpayer? A lot of people believe that they would be reinvesting money into their companies, into the country, and that could help employment, that could help spur new business. Do you believe that could happen?
It's hard. It's hard to say. I understand the logic. We did do a repatriation back in 2004. It really didn't register on the scale for a jobs boost. You do have record corporate profits in the last few years without reinvestment. So with if you increase the corporate profit margin, not sure if that would increase investment over where we are right now. In our view at CPA, we're concerned if you want to pursue a Make America Great agenda, you don't want to discriminate against U.S. companies in relation to foreign companies. And that's really what we're doing. We're not giving the benefit. We would like to give at least a level, if not disproportionate benefit to U.S. companies versus producers overseas. And that's where this bill misses the mark. It's the relative tax level a little bit more than the tax rate.
Michael Stumo joining us as we continue on. We have the Senate Budget Committee approving the tax plan. I guess that goes to the full floor. How do you think that this will play out?
Well, it looks like it has a better chance of passing today than it did 2 days ago because two of the senators voted for it yesterday who had indicated that they may be against it. That's Ron Johnson of Wisconsin and Bob Corker of Tennessee. So they voted for it. They might have voted for it just to see it go to the floor and try to make some deals. They might have voted for it because they're comfortable with promises that will happen in the future but are not in this bill. So it's still not certain, but I think the chances went from 50-50 to 60-40.
Let's take a look at a couple other issues here at KIDO Talk Radio. What do you make? Is there anything that will help the people here in Idaho, the farmers and the ranchers in this tax reform bill?
To the extent you have C corporations, they do cut the rate, but a lot of Idaho farmers and ranchers are not C corporations. They're pass-throughs, as they say. They're an LLC. They're a sole proprietorship. They might be a partnership, that sort of thing. So pass-throughs get taxed higher than C corporations. And, you get a bit of a cut there. That was actually Ron Johnson's objection, that these so-called pass-throughs, where you don't sort of have, the typical shareholder where you have your business and the income passes through to your tax return, that distinction or discrimination was his big issue. So, maybe if Idaho businesses make a significant profit and pay a lot of taxes, they will get a bit of a bump from a absolute tax reduction. If they're not making profit or very much, it doesn't make a big difference to their bottom line.
Finally, the scourge of everybody, corporate welfare.
Well, China gives corporate welfare to their companies in order to outcompete everyone else. So if you're going to do corporate welfare, you want to direct it towards the companies that employ people in your country and help you grow your economy. You don't want to give corporate welfare to the foreign companies. And so that's sort of the game that Japan, Korea, Germany, and China use. And if we're going to do it, that's the way you want to target it.
Michael Stumo, Coalition for a Prosperous America. We always appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's go to Arvell in Fruitland, who's been very patient. He wants to talk about Matt Lauer with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Arvell. Thank you for your patience.
Yes. I'm going to quote a verse from the Bible regarding Matt. And it's Galatians 6:1. If a man is caught in a trespass, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness, looking to yourselves, lest you too be tempted. And I think we all need to pay serious attention to what is being said here. Matt himself is quoted as getting on Bill O'Reilly for his trespass, and now it's happened to him. And we're all vulnerable. Even as Christians, we're vulnerable and need to be guarded in how we live. And there's hope for Matt, as there's hope for any one of us. This could be a real wake-up call where he realizes he needs God in his life and can find forgiveness from God and find help from Jesus. So there's hope. So I just want to leave you with that.
Arvell, God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436-580-KIDO. Here we have Matt Lauer, and it's interesting when you take a look at this thing. Our friends at Newsbusters, it didn't take them long to come up with this. Celebrating 20 years of liberalism of Matt Lauer. And, just going back to some of his clips where he's in his boxer shorts. Let's take a listen.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lauer. I gotta repress my designer slacks. Alex!
I'm here, Matt.
All right, 5 minutes tops. I gotta look as good as that numbnuts Regis Philbin.
You got it, Matt.
I sure do.
And there we have Matt Lauer with his boxer shorts on in front of Savannah, Jenna Bush, and Hoda.
Get in, ladies.
Again, Matt? Really?
He's proudly showing his boxer shorts to everybody.
It's the third time this week. Did your mommy give you those? Oh, wow. Stop it. You're making me lactate.
Get it while it...
Yeah, you heard that right. Now, we couldn't do this in any other part of the country. And as I've revealed to you, and we won't go into too much details, this program has garnered the attention of people in the Carolinas, in Virginia, we'll just say the Mid-Atlantic region and in Southeastern Conference and others, because it's so unique. and the audience, you and me, are so interactive. But we couldn't do this show anywhere else. And there's a reason why, because of the makeup of our group here. At 580-5436-580-KIDO. Matt Lauer has gotten the boot because, according to NBC, he did some shenanigans with a young lady, or maybe I assume it's a female staffer. Is that right? Okay, just making sure. And Matt Lauer is gone. Now, it's ironic that the Today Show has higher standards than the U.S. Congress because there was no due process. There was a complaint, and he was gone. Now, you don't have to be an HR czar to figure out the evidence must have been pretty compelling, overwhelming. But, and maybe this is why I like the shows like The Jeffersons or All in the Family or Sanford and Son or, back Happy Days. And if you've never seen those shows, you can YouTube them, and we'll get to YouTube in a minute. But what I'm saying here is part of the problem that we have in America today, and somebody brought it up last hour when they were talking about pornography, is that we are an overly sexualized culture. Look at Angela Lansbury saying, well, women sometimes deserve it, or women play a part in it. And I want to misquote. She's 92 and saying this. And wherever you go, whatever you see on television, it's all about relations. And we don't want to use the other word for it because we pride ourselves on being a family-friendly show. Again, this is primetime morning television. We have an anchor who has been fired, but this happened, when Tamron Hall was there, so it had to be about a year ago, wearing his boxer shorts and proudly pulling out his suit jacket and saying, "Take it in, ladies." And would it be too much if these ladies were offended to say, I don't really want to be a part of that skit? And then you have one of them talking about lactating? What does that have to do with the news of the day? What does that have to do? They talk about the Today Show family and waking up. Does anybody want to see Matt Lauer or Al Roker or any of these guys? But again, it goes back to the example that our society has become overly sexualized. And maybe that's a heady topic for a political show. Maybe it's best left to our friends on television that talk about culture and morality. Like He Without Sin cast the first stone, but at 580-5436-580-KIDU, I take a look at this and I listen to this, and I'm thinking to myself, what's the point? And you have these women now that are offended, rightfully so, stating, hey, we should, we're joking about Matt Lauer who says drink it in. How would you feel if that happened to your wife at work with a coworker? I think a lot of guys would be giving somebody a knuckle sandwich. One more time here.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Lauer. I got to repress my designer.
See, the bit here is he's walking in, somebody bumps into him, his pants are not perfectly creased, so they have an ironing board in the middle of the hallway, and you have somebody who's there all the time, his personal assistant, to iron his pants.
Slacks. Alex!
I'm here, Matt.
All right, 5 minutes tops. I got to look as good as that numbnuts Regis Philbin.
You got it, Matt.
I sure do.
Drink
Drink it in, ladies.
Again, Matt? Really? It's the third time this week. Did your mommy give you those? Stop it. You're making me lactate.
Yeah, get it while it lasts.
By the way, the person who said, I want to lactate, that would be Savannah Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie this morning, she got on the air and having the tears and everything else, said this.
This is a sad morning here at Today and at NBC News. Just moments ago, NBC News Chairman Andy Lack sent the following note to our organization. Dear colleagues, on Monday night, we received a detailed complaint from a colleague about inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace by Matt Lauer. It represented, after serious review, a clear violation of our company's standards. As a result, we have decided to terminate his employment.
And by the way, they went on to say, I feel bad for Matt Lauer. I feel bad for the female employee that came forward. No, it's not an equal thing. NBC determined that Matt Lauer was bad. Don't feel bad for him. He's living it up on the Cape or the Hamptons.
For the moment, all we can say is that we are heartbroken. I'm heartbroken for Matt. He is my dear, dear friend and my partner, and he is beloved by many, many people here. And I'm heartbroken for the brave colleague who came forward to tell her story and any other women who have their own stories to tell.
I'm heartbroken for Matt, who apparently not admittedly, but according to NBC, enough that it was a fireable offense, did these inappropriate actions, these predatory actions, allegedly to these women, and she feels bad for him? How about putting him in his place is what the folks at CBS did? Carrie in Boise on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Carrie, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. This has been bothering me since Harvey Weinstein, all that came out. And I'm not saying that anybody, I don't know. I wasn't there. But 30 plus years ago, I was a very naive little girl from Idaho who went to California for college, and I was working in a restaurant, and my much older in his 60s boss at that time, I won't go into detail, but he molested me. And I was afraid that I was going to get fired, and it was a really good job. And, I went to a lawyer to talk about what I could do, not because I wanted him to get in trouble, but I didn't want to lose my job. And they sent me to the union who, they dealt with it. And I guess, and this was about the time of Anita Hill, and I was thinking at that time, here I am, this kid who's really naive, and I knew how to handle the situation without anybody to take up my cause for me. And I just kind of wonder at these people who, they have a lot more education, a lot more world experience than I do, and they don't know how to handle it. And I don't know. I'm not convinced that every single one of these allegations that are coming out are legit. That's all. Well,
you're in the minority on that, Carrie, but let's delve into this. Angela Lansbury, 92 years old, said, women have to take responsibility in some of these cases. Very controversial comments. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it's like Ashley Judd during the Women's March, she was calling, Trump every vile name because of the locker room talk. But she said herself that Harvey Weinstein, she chose to have sex with him so that he wouldn't rape her, but she told him she wanted an Oscar out of it. So, granted, what he did was wrong, but I don't think that she was right. So I don't know. Sometimes I think there's just more than one side to the story. And I don't know. I'm not saying it doesn't happen because I know it happened to me. But I'm saying I don't know why people don't know how to handle it and do something about it.
Right. And I agree with you. People in power and intelligence saying, look at Cokie Roberts telling young females, any females don't go in an elevator with John Conyers. What is that about? Exactly.
And how are these people still, I don't know, they still have jobs, they still make their money, they have their power. And I don't know. When it happened to me, the response from the restaurant that I worked in is that, the affection. And I very clearly said to them, my father has never, ever French kissed me or touched me in places that he shouldn't. That's not fatherly affection. So you're not going to pull that BS. And I was 20.
Well, I don't know what that guy was thinking, but Carrie, thank you for the call.
Mm-hmm.
All right, much more of your thoughts next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
KIDO.
Oh, Ray, you continue to impress me with your music selection today. I could hear Madonna again and again, and that will resonate. No hidden messages in our bumper music. Kevin Miller in the morning here. KIDO Talk Radio. Our time, 8:29. Time for traffic and weather together. Let's get you to work safely and on time. Good morning, Dave.
Ever.
And let's go to Danielle in Meridian with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Danielle.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad. And you?
I'm a little grumpy because I've been sitting in this silly traffic.
No one's sorrier than I am, boss.
Hey, I agree. I agree with the caller before you, and you said she's in the minority. I'm sad. I'm shocked about Matt Lauer. I have a lot of opinions, but I don't want to offend anybody, and I would never try to minimize, victims of real crimes. But I've always thought, since all of this has started, why can't these victims, women, are they not able to handle the situations? And I'm not saying all of them are easy to handle, but I only know in my life experience, I could probably come forward and say I was a victim, even though I don't feel like I was, because I don't know, it's your perspective. I'm not saying it's all flirting, but there's flirting, there's, men and women operate differently in that arena. And I think, I don't know that the way, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know the
what
way
you're trying
that,
to say. What you're trying to say is, there is an appropriate and inappropriate way that women should behave around men.
Yes, I do. And if a man says something to me that is, and I'm trying to be careful with my words because family-friendly radio.
Right.
If a man says something to me, I've never felt like, oh my God, I'm a victim. I've felt like, okay, that's rude, or that's insensitive, or you're a pig. But like I said, I've handled it, and I'm not saying that this is even. But this happened 3 years ago. 3 years ago. So why didn't this person come forward 3 years ago to stop the problem? And I know there's no answer to that, but I'm more on the side that I'm not buying all of it. I'm more on the side that all these women are, I don't know if they're true victims. I don't necessarily believe all of it. Again, I'm not negating people who are victims of real.
Is it tough to be a victim when you get an Oscar?
No.
Yeah. Danielle, thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Let's find out what's happening in your world. Good morning, Maggie. KIDO Talk Radio, live to Washington. Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland joins us now. Rachel, good to have you with us. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
So another bombshell, this one coming from an intelligence watchdog saying the Clinton campaign planned to fire him over the email probe. What's the latest?
Yeah, this person's name is the former Intelligence Community Inspector General, Charles McCullough. He talked to Fox News' Catherine Herridge, also with Tucker Carlson, it looks like, saying that he really believes his job was on the line, that he'd been warned by members of Congress and on higher up in the chain as well, that if he didn't stop talking about what he believed was the national security being put at risk by some of the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's emails, that he could see himself out of a job as soon as she got elected. Now, of course, it didn't happen. But he felt at the time that there was all this pushback and that there was he just felt like, again, that there was personal blowback to himself, to his family, to his office. Now, the thing about it is, Kevin, this is, his story, and calls, I believe, to the Clinton campaign and to other officials that know about this were not returned. So it's difficult to really get the full picture of the story, but that's what he is saying.
It's amazing. This who would have thought this email situation would continue to unravel, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, this story continues to have legs. I think that people were very upset about the Clinton emails. The situation for her with the revelation about the more than one phone and the server in the bathroom and so on. Those were devastating to her. And in hindsight, she says she would have done things differently. But then, of course, no criminal charges, were placed. And when it comes to whether or not there'll be anything further from this, we already know that the House Judiciary Committee, for one, has asked the Justice Department to look into the whole Uranium One deal, and they really haven't backed off the emails either. But at this point, it looks like there's not going to be some kind of dueling special counsel here in D.C. And so unless the intelligence committees really take action or the Justice Department does, then I don't really think much will come of this.
Well, as we like to say when we have you on, stay tuned for more.
That's right. It's a busy news day, too. They're going to start debating the Senate bill here at around 2 p.m. our time. And so it's going to be busy.
Yeah, I don't know which is busier, the new Avengers Affinity War official trailer or your day.
I'm not sure. I haven't seen that trailer.
Lots of action today. Rachel, we always appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Rachel Sutherland joining us here. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Terry, formerly of State College, Pennsylvania, with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Kevin. Do you remember the 60s and the 70s, the big sexual revolution?
I can remember being a baby host, whether it was in New Hampshire or in Alabama, railing against the decadent, deplorable sexual revolution and what it has launched and what it has meant to our great society today. I remember it well.
Well, growing up on Penn State campus, the last I know, 10 years ago, they were the fourth, rated number 4 as the biggest partying school in America. They could be number 1 now, but that's something to be proud of. Growing up there, as a youngster, I remember when the halter tops and no bras and shorts with holes in them and nothing on underneath them, walking around. And don't think I'm attacking women because I haven't even got to the men yet. But women have decided, based upon all the input and all the programming that's gone into them, that they need to be sexually available, the same as men, without any conscience, without any fear of repercussion. And women have gone way overboard. It's prevalent everywhere now. Now, let's get to the men. They are a bunch of pigs in that respect, and I don't mean all men, but I mean many, many men. When you look at Adam back in the Garden of Eden, so there's Eve being tempted. Where was Adam at? Why wasn't he stepping up saying, leave her alone, stay away from her? No, he was sitting back just, hey, being the coward that he is, what can I do to satisfy my own flesh? Kevin, we have become we're deplorables, all right.
Now, wait a minute. Did you just call out Adam for what Eve did?
I'm calling out Adam. Adam was supposed to be her leader. Where was he? Oh, he was hiding behind the bushes while she's dealing with Satan. Why didn't he step forward and say, I've got you covered here, baby. I do. Where was he? It started back then. Then God came along and said, what's going on here? Adam blamed it on God.
Now, hold on. Let me hit you with something here. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
And this is back to what Danielle and Carrie were talking about. Megyn Kelly is now talking about Matt Lauer. And Kelly, who's an attorney and a multimillionaire, says that the public doesn't see how women are harassed behind the stage here. Let's see. The public doesn't get to see career opportunities women lose because of sexual harassment or the intense stress it causes women on a daily basis. I'm thinking of those women this morning and hoping they are okay. The days to come will not be easy. Now, again, we're trying to figure this out. Now, whether it was the Fox News where they have, the short skirts, or Katie Couric back in the day that would show us her legs and such, how are men and women supposed to behave when women are either told or conditioned, this is how you look, this is what you're supposed to do, because the television is unforgiving, the camera is unforgiving. And then this issue involving Megyn Kelly talking about the intense pressure. Well, let me say this to you, my moral friend. Sometimes in life, you have to take a look at yourself and do I want to sell my soul? Do I want to sell my body to be the next big thing? And is it worth it? Am I out of line for saying that?
No. Kevin, men are visual. women are emotional. Women look for that emotional connection. Men want the physical connection in life. Men have lost their honor. I don't care what anyone says. And I heard a quote here recently, and it made me think of a few people I know. Will you be remembered for your ego or your honor? Huh. Boy, that spelled it all out, and how didn't it? Kevin, women don't have to dress
wow,
so that they're revealing all their curves and their sensuality.
And again, let's just have two guys trying to talk about women because that's going to be appealing to women here at KIDO Talk Radio, and I'm being facetious, but here's the message. On one hand, you have people, and I had a coworker, was one of the most beautiful women I've ever known in Alabama. God rest her soul. She died young mom, I believe. Former fitness competitor, but was the nicest person. You know, her beauty on the inside rivaled her beauty on the outside. But you have people that, you know, they dress a certain way, or some people flirt, and it's almost like when people say this word or that word in closed company, and then they, you know, the situation over the N word where people go, well, you know, we're friends and we could say this. Then all of a sudden there's a falling out, and all of a sudden people that said that they, you know, it's offensive. Not excusing the behavior because it's unacceptable, but there needs to be structure. There needs to be a code. Do you agree?
Absolutely. There's got to be boundaries.
Yeah.
If you cross over to the other side, you're crossing over into the enemy's camp. And I'm going to put this in a spiritual sense. Satan loves it. All right, here she comes. Hey, buddy, look there.
Well, and today, I mean, it's guys as well. Let's not excuse them. And by the way, according to multiple reports, you had Variety, the Huffington Post, and the New York Times working on exposés that would have gotten Matt Lauer. So it's not like the Today Show all of a sudden looks like they rushed to judgment, which, again, I wonder where the due process was. Apparently, several women have come forward privately in the past few months, even before Harvey Weinstein. So what does that say about the Today Show that these allegations have been going on, and Lauer just kind of – and the audacity of Matt Lauer to rip Bill O'Reilly?
Hey, you know, and behind the scenes, granted, I mean, they can be anything they want to be. You know, when they have to be the character that they're representing in front of the
sure,
camera,
right.
That's different. But you get these men in the backstage. I have no doubt, but I also don't doubt that, you know, various women haven't shaken their booty just a little bit more, or just they call it playing, workplace playing and all that. Oh, come on, it's prevalent everywhere.
There are
the married couples.
There are formal relationships and informal relationships. I'm a fan.
Thank you very much.
I'm a fan, and it drives the people here crazy. I'm a fan of formal relationships. As you know, you've seen me around my coworkers and such. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of formal relationships. You know, and it might seem prudish, but growing up around the Pennsylvania Amish, you know, all my life, it is still a great value system. They were very, very careful. Now, do I agree that a woman shouldn't show her ankles and her neck should be covered? Not necessarily, but, you know, they really practiced it, and it was a discipline, and that's what we've given up. We've given up the discipline of morality, of practicing what is moral. Right. Because now we want to fulfill our sensual desires that we see totally glued all over the television set. Hello, it comes down to children in front of it. It comes down to leaving something for the imagination. Terry, I have to run, but thank you. Great show, Kevin. Thank you. Thank you. Our great friend Terry, formerly of State College, Pennsylvania. Your call's next. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. What does this mean for America? I can't believe I'm saying this, that Matt Lauer gets the boot, number one. And number two, you know, you have people that flirt in the workplace. You have people that have inappropriate relations in the workplace and outside the workplace. You know, let's get back to Nancy Reagan. Let's just say no. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And we go to our great friend, Tea Party Bob, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Living the dream, and you?
I'm trying to live the dream with you. You know, I think the question of the day, both politically and morally, is do we ever really know someone, and who can you trust?
Wow.
I was listening to Mr. Henderson this morning, and it struck me that he talks about wanting to change things in Congress by being someone without a political background or experience. He's very much like Michael Schneider, who I did have an opportunity to talk to by claiming he's an outsider. You're going from crony politicians to those with no affiliations or so-called outsiders is an interesting prospect, but it also comes with its own problems. Governing, to me, has always meant serving the people who elected you. And to do that, you need to know who those people are and what they expect of you. And don't just go along with the crony establishment or campaign financing lobbyists. However, it also means you need to understand the people who elect you to office. And when you look at the candidates for the first CD, there is only one who has been out there in the forefront for 10 years and a proven conservative in the state legislature with deep roots in Idaho and has run for governor against all odds and come very close to winning, and that's Russ Fulcher. As I listen to Mr. Henderson speak, he makes it sound as if you have any political experience, you shouldn't be considered for office because your experience has corrupted you. In actuality, if you are proven conservative by your past voting record, it should put you way out in front and ahead of those without a past history. After all, I don't have a clue as to Mr. Henderson or Mr. Snyder voting record or how they would vote in a difficult situation in Congress because they have no real history.
Well, we'll get an opportunity, though, to go over that with them as we get to know them. And
I don't disagree with that.
It's nice that we have people in the race, and Mr.
It's always nice to have choices.
And Mr. Henderson called us from his vacation in Mexico. I thought that was good.
Well, I'd be spending my money in the United States.
Well, you're not
kind of a Trump guy.
You're not running for office, though.
That's not yet.
What?
By the same token, when you're looking at candidates Malik and Perry, they have past experience and history of voting with the establishment.
Now, I thought we were talking about Matt Lauer.
We are. Well, look, this is all together. This comes down again to what I said earlier. It's a question of who do you trust and who can you trust. It all comes down to the same thing, and I wrote about this in a Gem State yesterday. You know, when you look at the people that we have running, Malik led the Gang of 14. He's one of the reasons we have Obamacare and the health care exchange. You know, Perry's judgment is questionable from an ethical point of view in light of her recent indiscretions with a senator. You know, David Leroy has been a crony establishment guy for years. He's not going to change his stripes. Voters need to be informed, which is why I bring up the history of David Leroy and the two legislators running for Congress.
Well, what about Michael Snyder?
Well, look.
What's up with him?
Let's be aware, Mr. Henderson and Mr. Snyder are telling how conservative or independent they will be with no history or background to prove it.
Well, you could say that about Donald Trump.
Yeah, but he's already proven it. He's been there a year.
Yeah, but your logic would...
I said that a year before he was elected he would make a good president.
Your logic would disqualify Mr. Trump.
My logic was pretty right, wasn't it?
You, along with Liberty Linda, yes, you were. I can remember Steve Ackerman having to pay up. I did not bet you, but there were many times that you were right and the rest of us were wrong.
So look, all I'm saying is that if we're going to clear the swamp, we need to put people in that we actually have a good background of their conservative voting record. And most of the candidates that are running for the first CD don't really have that. And as far as I'm concerned, Fulcher's the only one that even comes close.
Well, imagine that, you speaking up about Russ Fulcher.
Well, hey, look, you know, he's been around a while. He's proven himself to the people of Idaho. He's been an Idahoan for a fourth generation now. I think that if anybody deserves a shot at this, it would be him.
Maybe you should be his campaign manager.
Oh, I'm not so sure I could do a good job on that.
Well, it was nice sharing this quality time in the review of the 7 o'clock hour.
Well, hey, listen, you know, I have to get a word in edgewise every now and then.
I don't blame you.
Thank you very much for your time again. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, brother. Take care.
Have a great day.
All right. Traffic and weather. And keep it here. Kevin Miller in the morning coming up. Our great friend Glenn Beck. Then it's Dave Ramsey. And then Sean Hannity will take you home this afternoon. Always appreciate the great American Sean Hannity. Ray Amaya, thank you very much. Outstanding job as always. And don't forget, coming up on Friday, we'd love to see you at the Idaho Chooses Life Banquet at Eagle Christian Church. For more information, you can go to idahochooseslife.org. Hope you have a great day. God bless, and keep the faith.